If you woke up tomorrow and everything that you have built is gone, you have no money in your bank account, the only thing you get to retain is the information in your head. Nobody knows your name. They're not going to pick up your call just because they know you. You just get to retain the information that you've built and the knowledge that you've built. What are some of the first things you would do tomorrow to start to build it all back?
Relationships are all that there is. It's really so important. And I've stressed this maybe too many times, but when you have the ability to really go deep with people, you can change people's lives. I spend a lot of my time with people that I send to MD Anderson. I'm on the board at MD Anderson. I had my cancer treatment there. And it's not about whether I'm trying to get them to work over here and that. It's that I truly care. I've got a lady named Maria Mayorga. I did loans for her in 1988. I did loans for her 7 sons. And everyone in my work gets all nervous because in my office walks 2 cops that come in and everyone's like, oh my gosh, these guys just barge into Glenn's office. I'm like, Rudy, how you doing? Is one of her sons, right? Oh. And they, and I've been with this family. It's been about sitting and getting to know people and who they really are and caring. I was just there. She's in a senior living place. I've been to their weddings. They've been to mine. So you've got to get personal and real and really care. Not do it because, hey, maybe I'll make some money, right? It's because you have to care about people. And when you do that, everything else becomes a lot easier, right? So if I'm sitting there and nobody knows me, but I've got all this success, I can either be, I'm better than you. You don't know this, but I am actually a very successful person. And by the look of me, maybe you should think I'm a jerk because I am. Or I can really care. And who cares about the money or the stuff? Who are you? Tell me about your life. I want to know about everything about you and get to, hear your stories, because everything is relevant. What I think I've done that's crazy and amazing, other people have their own version of that. The same, but to them, it's the same, right? It feels just as crazy, And so what is it? And I want to hear about it. And I like it, And so I think it's important to really care about people and get to a place where you want to invest in them.
I think one of the best ways to get started, and this is what I did, is I built an agency. So I became a contractor, consultant, you name it, on the agency side. So as soon as I figured out how to make websites for myself, I started making websites for other people. As soon as I figured out how to do some Google marketing, search engine optimization, all through YouTube and books, I said, okay, I can offer this as a service. So I think day one, I would go around to businesses that seem like they're doing decently well, as best as I could see it. Go in, talk to those owners, and figure out where are some gaps in your business. I think selling to businesses first versus people sometimes is a little bit easier. If I'm thinking I got to make $5,000 a month or $2,000 a month or whatever it is to at least get my base covered, that's 1 or 2 contracts from a business. Now I've got to be able to ideally over deliver on those things. When I started, I was heavily underpriced when I was doing these services, but I didn't have a marketing budget. And by being low price and over delivering, you naturally market yourself. And so I would take what I know. I'd probably go back to the public library where I built my first websites and kind of do some research and figure out who in the area could I potentially go and talk to and ask them. And then at the library, once I've talked to them and they say, you know what, I need some help with my social media, or I need some help with my website. It's, my web developer left, or something else. Businesses have a lot of problems all the time. And small businesses in particular don't have the budget, the time, or the people to solve those problems. So if you can come in and say, let's say, for example, you want to find something that you semi-like and you're semi-good at, ideally from the beginning. So if you're someone that you like social media, you spend a lot of time on social media, you understand it enough, that might be something that's interesting to you. Now let's see if you can get really good at it so you can charge a premium for it. But I would start by charging, $500 and I'll do a whole social media audit. I will produce posts for you for the first 30 days, maybe use some free AI tools nowadays with AI if it was today. The bar has never been lower in terms of the cost to set something up. And, I think going to businesses, creating an agency, consulting those various businesses in your area, ideally, but anyone you can get in front of, what is a problem you have? Well, the guy that sweeps the front left, I'll sweep it.
Love it.
And would you pay me every month to sweep it? Because I'm going to be sweeping everyone in this plaza's floors.
Love it.
And so, whatever I could do to sell to a business, and that's why I think it's quite popular. But I agree with it. I think if you can get paid to learn something you like and you're seemingly good at enough to charge even $1 for it, then you get your next client. Do you have a referral? Did you like the work I did for you last week?
Yeah.
Is there anyone else you know that could use this? And so I would use that before I kind of jump to the next thing and see if I could just work my butt off over delivering for these business owners. And then through that, I might be able to build another business that takes me from survival to becoming rich to one day becoming wealthy, but knowing that takes time.
For me, I would find a job that I could perform in that would give me enough capital to then go invest and build businesses again. My belief, my philosophy is build community. In that community, serve the community with products and services. And in that, you'll never lack for clients. So I would have to I'd go find a sales job. I'd find a way to make capital. But in that, I would also then start building a community of some kind, right? And that's how I've built all of my businesses, whether it's Think Realty or AAPL or Aspire or any of the other ones I've built. Community. Then you do enough data science on that community, you'll understand what they need, and you build products and services that they desire. Then you don't have to convince them to buy it. They literally are moving a line item on their P&L. It's like, oh, I like you, I'll buy you instead of buying them. They've already spent the money. And so for me, that's how I build my businesses, and that's how I would build the entire empire again.
I think it's a great question. It's one I've actually kind of tried to mentally go through. And actually, in some ways, because I feel so comfortable with this question, I think it's helped me to be a better business person because I don't have the same risk aversion of most people. I think most people, when they get successful, it's like, can't lose it. I'm terrified of what if it went away. And I don't really feel that because of the confidence I think I've developed in the ability to build value. I think I would start really simple. I'd say, what is something I know a lot about that I could enjoy that uses the internet that serves people? And I would just start there where people would be happy to pay for it. And I would probably, if I had no capital, I would say, I want to start something that requires very little capital, that I could work a job and I could work on it nights, almost even as a hobby, until I built up enough of a snowball that it could support me full time. And then once I'd built up enough capital, I would probably go back to trying to do something product based because I have experience with it. But ironically, I probably wouldn't even do water bottles. I've told people I don't think I could recreate Simple Modern because some of it was timing based. But there were some principles I've learned, there's a lot of tools on the internet where I would start to look for what are Google search term trends or Amazon search term trends of categories that seem to be gaining a lot of steam, and look like they could get pretty big, but they're still in the kind of emerging phases. I'm a really big believer that picking the right category is, to use a running example, it's the difference between running into a 20-mile-per-hour wind and running with it at your back. And so no matter how good an entrepreneur you are, if you structurally set yourself up to succeed, it's just so much easier. And one other thing I would say is, I think if, in the kind of start over analogy, it's assumed that you would immediately start doing things as quick as I can. I got to build it back. I don't know that's how it would go with me. I think I would be much more willing to say, I'm going to sit back and wait for the right opportunity here. I'm going to be pretty methodical about it, but I don't feel like I have to do it immediately. And that was probably something that really helped me with Simple Modern and would help me in this kind of scenario, is that for a while, I felt like I wanted to someday be a CEO of a company, but I was able to be patient enough until the right opportunity revealed itself. And because I had been patient, I had kind of the financial and relational and intellectual capital to really take a big swing when I got a great opportunity. So the reason I mentioned the internet, which is probably the last thing we're saying, is that the ability to do things with low investment and the ability to create asymmetric outcomes is just so much bigger because of technology. So, in a lot of ways, you could take my skill sets, and if you put me in the 1500s, maybe I'm just like a serf. I don't know. Like maybe I'm just a guy, but I know how to use the internet, and so it's an amazing tool, and I would definitely make that part of the plan.
Specifically, like what would I do?
Yeah, what would you start doing tomorrow morning?
Oh, well, the first thing I would do is say where do I think there's a real need and where is the world going? Like that's what I would ask myself, meaning because if I'm answering this question, it's sort of like I'm today, I'm not 10 years ago, right?
Correct,
So
today,
I'm in 2024 and the world is radically different than it was 10 years ago. So the first thing I would do is say, I'm going to take some time. Hard to do.
Yes.
I'm going to take a beat and really take a step back and say, like, where are the areas of either, like I said, growth, where are these market shifts happening, and where are some like real consumer pain points that are happening, and where do I think I could potentially solve something again? But I would take time to really, I would at least take a couple weeks and really think through a variety of things, maybe even a month. Like I wouldn't like run into something. I'd really take some time to do some research. And what the amazing thing is, I'd actually have this weirdly, that would be terrible what you just described. But the amazing thing about it that like actually gives me energy, even when you were talking, I was like, I have no baggage. Like there's nothing that I have that I have to work on top of. When you are starting fresh, like you can create something in any way, shape, or form you want. And I think there's a real excitement to that. I mean, just the world is so different today, like all the things and all the platforms and just like everything we were talking about. It's just there's a real freedom to be able to build something from scratch.
Would it be product again, do you think?
It would probably be product, but specifically, no, I think well, maybe, but I would not do apparel. I'm really interested in wellness. I think apparel is just really hard. I think retail is very cyclical, and
It is.
and it's the devil, like it's just even angel investing. I can barely angel invest in retail. It's just really hard, and I know it too well. And I would not do something in apparel. I am really passionate about like wellness, longevity. I think there's some really interesting things going on in that space. And I would do something within that as like the broad box I was working in.
Very cool. I love that. Do you think it's more this whole like space that's coming on with like longevity and anti-aging and just kind of people trying to hack their own systems and live longer? Is that what you're kind of seeing?
Yeah. I think because I think what we know today, and I read a good amount about it. I'm no expert, but it's like we're all super different, stating the obvious. So this idea of like personalization again, as it relates to your own longevity, like your DNA makeup, who you are, there's a lot we're still learning, but right, like what works for me specifically might not work for you, won't work for someone else. And so I think there's a lot of interesting things going on in that space. I don't know how it all shakes out, but there's just there's a lot of innovation happening right now, and we're all going to live, knock on wood, a lot longer and longer, but it's really about quality of life, right? And so how do you maintain that quality of life? And so I think that's where I'd spend more time.
I'm actually excited. I'm ready to do it. So immediately, let's say I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, I'm here, I'm going to pick a niche. So let's call it luxury cars.
Okay.
The luxury car niche, I'm now going to go walk, taxi, Uber, whatever I'm allowed to do if I have any money at all to Uber. Otherwise, I'll walk. I don't care. I'll crawl if I have to. And I'm going to go to luxury car dealership and say, hey guys, next Sunday, I'm throwing a luxury car event at this venue. I might not even have the venue yet. And I'm going to go interact with luxury car guys that have a big list of rich people because they sell luxury cars for the last 12 years at that place. I'm going to go across the street to the Mercedes dealership, Lamborghini, Ferrari, and I'm going to go make friends and invite them to my big event coming up next Sunday at X location. Along the way, I'm going to try to find X location, whether it's a hotel ballroom, whether it's a studio, whether it's a fancy place, whether it's a mansion that I go try to get for free and just say, hey guys, guess what? I got all these luxury car dealers coming with their clients. I noticed your listing has been on here for 4 months for your mansion. Would you help pay for the food and drinks? And I'm going to bring you 100, 200 people that are rich
Brilliant.
to your mansion. Have you noticed I haven't spent $1 yet?
Yep.
I'm going to go on eventbrite.com or events.com and I'm going to make myself a flyer. You know how much that costs? $0.00. And I'm going to say, mansion party, specifically for the luxury car space.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the speaker coming. He's the CEO of Lamborghini in Phoenix, Arizona. And the head of Porsche is coming. And I got myself an event that I spent $0.00 on by literally walking through the streets, going to dealerships. And what happens? I'm now going to have all those people that I comp for free, but at the same time, there's a $300 ticket or a $100 ticket or a $500 ticket, whatever ticket I want, to come to this fancy mansion party full of Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and Porsches with all these fancy people. And guess what? People are going to want to buy it. And I'm just going to go out there and DM. I'm going to have 10 followers and 50 followers and 100 followers of people that I interact with. But my followers are going to be the head of Lamborghini, Porsche, Ferrari. I haven't spent $1.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work the whole area of Phoenix to load up my mansion party with Ferraris and Lamborghinis and really rich people to come to my event. And guess what? I'm going to hit up photographers and videographers, say, hey, guess what? I can't afford you, but you're going to take content of these Lamborghinis and Porsches and meet the owners of dealerships who would want to hire you. Will you work for me for free and make me content? The night of the event, I'm going to be shaking hands and kissing babies with all these rich people. I'm up on stage holding the microphone. And within 2 weeks, I now know not all the rich people, a lot of rich people in Phoenix, Arizona to create a lot of deals and a lot of flow.
That is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And it almost sounds a little bit like something that you've already done.
Well, I've been throwing free events for years.
Yeah.
Elevator nights. I've thrown 54 times for
Wow.
free. And so I know it works because I did it 12 years ago. So it's not a theory. I had it literally upstairs of a jewelry store.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and invited 40 people, which ended up being 155 people. I'll never forget because the room didn't hold that. And all I did was I walked around free.
Okay.
Still free 12 years later. I did an all women's event on Friday at the LA Convention Center, all women speakers. And so I literally walked around downtown LA and invited them to upstairs of a jewelry store. And then at the same time, a couple football players from the San Diego Chargers committed. And then I started telling people, guess what? Some of the Chargers are coming. The real estate guys wanted to come. The car dealer guys wanted to come. The jewelry guys wanted to come. The football players heard about it, told their friends that all these real estate jewelers are coming. A bunch of girls heard about it, like, whoa, it's going to be a bunch of people that are going. And all of a sudden, it went from 40 people to 155, like that.
Wow.
I had 5 days notice on throwing the event. I'll never forget. I still have the videos of it.
Wow.
And that built my network in San Diego because I'm holding the microphone, interviewing famous running back from the San Diego Chargers and all these jewelers in the room and real estate people in the room. And boom, I become in the mix.
Did you sell anything at that first one?
Well, yeah, the jewelry that was downstairs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. It wasn't your store though.
That was my store.
That
yes.
was your store.
Yes,
Oh my
yes.
gosh, that's awesome. So in brick and mortar, it's like that was a marketing moment where you had people come in and then you sell them the jewelry.
Yes.
And then now here you are doing that in a different concept. Elevator nights. Tell people what is the offer there?
Nothing. We don't sell anything. It's free.
Nothing.
No tickets, no sales, no sponsors, nothing. It's a free event. It's like my way to get people in communities to meet with each other. And I typically do it the night before a big event. So whether it's Grant throwing his huge event, whether it's Aspire Tour, the night before Aspire Tour, like one of our events, I'll basically piggyback from the fact that everyone's in town and I'll throw a free event the night before. That way I know a lot of speakers are in town.
Right.
So like for the women's event, Lisa Bilyeu, Lori Harder, Jen Gottlieb are all speaking. Like these are people I would normally pay a lot of money to speak, happen to be in town and wanted to support my free event. And so I've had laundry lists of speakers over the years for free speaking at the free event. It's just my excuse to get everyone together, entrepreneurs and investors to hang out with each other.
First thing I would do tomorrow is find out who has a problem that I can solve with my time. And as soon as I found that person, and I would just dial, I would show up, I would use my feet. Like there's no resource need. I just need to have conversations. And literally as soon as I got somebody that has a problem, I would get them to trust me, take their money, buy back my time. I would literally hire an assistant first hire because I want to be spending all of my time talking to customers, delivering value for the customers. And I would communicate the value in a way that I need them to pay up front. See, that's the unique part of what I would think I would do is I would get them to pay up front for 6 months or a year and then take that capital, reinvest it in buying back my time. It's literally chapter 5 of my book. So and then just show up every day to create as much value for my customer more than anybody else in the world. And I think it's just a winning formula.